Hello, we are Group A from Fiberglass, and I am Mark Leal to talk about plastics and innovative materials.
I am Ronald Digo from Nuclear Engineering.
I'm Jamal Banaras from Batteries and Fuel Cells.
I'm Katen Yu from the food industry. I'm Chrissy Bansusaso from Extending Life and Healthcare.
And I'm Ian Lumandas from Oil and Gas slash Clean Energy.
Okay, guys, so first I'd like to thank all of you for coming to this meeting, and to start things off, I'd like all of us to give each other some sort of background information on each of the sectors so that we can discuss what we need to discuss.
The food industry dates way back to even before the 17th century with the need to improve the limited shelf life of food. And when chemical engineers were able to help this industry through different preservation methods which continue to advance, uh, they decided to explore on different possibilities like improving the aesthetic appeal, food safety, and nutritional value of food, and even mass producing certain processes which couldn't have been done before. And because of that, uh, companies like PMG and Unilever are able to produce products of the highest quality with the least amount of materials and produce the least amount of waste.
Our branch of industry deals with oil and gas and clean energy. The use of oil and gas dates back to the 18th century when fossil fuels were discovered and oil rigs were made to extract these fuels from the ground. Our jobs as chemical engineers is to refine the crude oil we extract and separate them to its components, which are petroleum, gas, naphtha, diesel, petrol, kerosene, etc. Other roles include process design and development, and production enhancement in plant operations, corrosion control, inspection, and quality control. But the downside of oil and gas is that it creates a lot of pollution, particularly carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. In USA alone, fuel consumption produces about 1.5 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide. So it's the job of chemical engineers in the renewable and clean energy faction to come up with ways to reduce these pollutions and also come up with ways to produce clean energy such as solar energy, geothermal energy, wind energy. Some of the clean energy engineers' works include geothermal science, photonic materials and solar energy capture, battery power storage and transmission, biomass conversion, etc.
My sector, which deals with chemical engineers in healthcare, emerged and developed due to the emergence of epidemiologic transition in the 1940s. Chemical engineers are extremely helpful in this industry because of our strong background in multiple disciplines, and this allows us to devise ways to decrease development time and increase quality of pharmaceutical products and technology. We also help by conducting thorough researches and in this field and by publishing literature that advocate the significance of health promotion and disease prevention. Pfizer Medical Information and Siemens Incorporated are key players in this industry, and they provide trusted clinical products and innovative healthcare to professionals and patients.
My sector deals with plastics and innovative materials. Nowadays, plastics are widely used because they are strong, lightweight, and cheaper to produce compared to other materials. They were first used to replace expensive or rare materials such as ivory or tortoiseshells in commercial production. Chemical engineers mainly focus on optimization and large-scale production of materials. This industry boomed in World War II when the demand for rubber increased. This led to an increase in chemical engineers designing plants, which would increase chemical production. One of the most recent discoveries in the industry is biodegradable plastics. Though these synthetic materials help ease the pollution caused by conventional plastics, the price to produce them is rather high, and personally, I think it would be much better to optimize the recycling of our current plastic materials than to devote more resources and newer materials into creating things that we would just dispose of. My sector also deals with innovative materials. Chemical engineers do research to optimize existing technology and make them more efficient.
Or nuclear engineering started in the late 19th century when Madame Curie discovered radioactivity, but it saw major developments in the 1940s because of the need of nuclear bombs. Nuclear bombs were developed by the Manhattan Project and brought about a swift end to World War II. Today, nuclear engineering deals with nuclear energy by harnessing strong nuclear forces via nuclear fission and possibly one day nuclear fusion. This is used this is shown today in nuclear plants and nuclear reactors to produce electricity, and it is also used to power engines such as that of the Mars rover, Curiosity. Chemical engineers help mostly by isolating, enriching, and purifying isotopes needed for nuclear power plants, such as uranium-235, and usually in large scale. Among among sources of energy, renewable or not, nuclear energy has the largest output. It has it is only second to coal in actual cost of producing electricity. Nuclear power also powers about 13% of the world and emits almost no greenhouse gas.
Fuel cell industry began on a concept by Humphrey Davy in 1801 and by the invention of the gas battery by William Grove on 1839, which showed that electric current could be produced from an electrochemical reaction between hydrogen and oxygen over a platinum catalyst. From that point on, the development of the fuel cells continued with the space program of the US in the late 1950s and 1960s. Then the emergence of environmental awareness in the 1970s, the era of the OPEC oil embargoes, forced governments to utilize clean energy that became one of the drivers for further fuel cell development. After the 1970s, the development was more inclined to commercialization that succeeded only last 2007 with the United States leading the market. The fuel cell industry continues to face challenges because many of the developers are still in the R&D phase. And credit availability is a huge factor in order for the developer to move on to the commercialization phase. Most of the key players in this industry are based in the United States and Canada. That includes huge companies such as General Motors and Toyota.
Now that we have some background info on each of the sectors, let's proceed to the main topic of this meeting. Given the current state of the Philippines, what should chemical engineers prioritize in order to promote the development of the country?
Well, since large-scale production seems to be a common role in all of our sectors, isn't it safe to say that we should focus on large-scale production?
But isn't that a bit too general? What exactly would it be that we're trying to mass produce? Given the current state of things, we can't do that for everything.
I agree. Trying to mass produce everything from each of the sectors would deplete us from our resources. We need to pool in our efforts into something that we can all benefit from.
Actually, we just need to find the right mix when it comes to devoting our resources. Not everything is needed in large quantities.
True, small quantities of certain things can greatly affect the playing field. You only need a small amount of phenolphthalein to change a colorful basic solution.
But what exactly do we need to prioritize? And what can we neglect?
Neglect wouldn't be the right term per se. Even if it's not a priority, we'd still devote resources for it. Just not as much as our main priority though.
Thanks for expounding, but that's what you meant by neglect anyway.
Actually, I might have taken it literally if it hadn't been explained.
Guys, we're kind of straying a bit. Could we please stay on topic?
Maybe we should discuss first what each of our sectors decided on regarding on the matter.
I think that would be easier too.
Fine, I'll speak first. Well, my sector's main topic was on oxo-biodegradable plastics, and we agreed that it isn't much of a priority since its production uses a large amount of resources, especially corn and energy. Producing the amount of energy we need is kind of difficult given the way things are, and we don't really want to steal more food from the people. Anyway, the bottom line is plastics, not a priority.
Mine, on the other hand, deals with the health of the general population and innovating new drugs and technology to address evolving pathogens, strains of bacteria, and diseases. It is important, therefore, to be able to invest a great amount of time, effort, and money towards the advancement of the sector to sustain the human race. But with all the healthcare products and services already available, it may not be the best idea to solely prioritize this industry when there are other so much more important things to put up front. As mentioned by Caitlin, the production of not only the necessary technology and drugs, but practically everything around us rely on a steady source of energy.
The fuel cell and batteries industry should be prioritized alongside the clean energy and nuclear energy. Batteries or energy storage should be prioritized in development. In order to utilize all of the energy collected from renewable energy sources such as wind power or solar power. Energy storage is important so that no energy is wasted or dumped off during an energy surplus or having too much energy. And that energy will be available during an energy deficit period. Meanwhile, the fuel cell industry may not be fully profitable as of now, but given a few years of development, it promises a power source that can replace coal-powered plants.
This sector focuses on nuclear energy, which is harnessing the power of nuclear fission and maybe in the future fusion to power our homes. Nuclear energy is clean. It produces almost no greenhouse gases. It also has a large energy output. Unfortunately though, the nuclear energy produces nuclear waste, which is very hard to maintain. Even the US only buries them or sinks them or throws them away. There's no proper way of disposing it yet. And also, large capital is needed to even pursue nuclear reactors. They're very expensive and also very hard to maintain. You need highly trained men, and it's very inefficient for our position right now in the Philippines, to use nuclear energy.
Our sector deals with the production of energy, either from oil and gas or from clean energy, such as solar, geothermal, wind, or hydrothermal. We believe that production of energy should be prioritized not only because energy is important for everyday lives, especially now that we live in the technological age, but also because Philippines has one of the highest energy consumption rates in the world, in a sense that our electricity bills are high compared to most countries, despite using the same amount of electricity. If we prioritize this sector, we can decrease this electricity consumption rates, and rotating blockouts around the country would be a thing of the past. And as you can see, most if not all of the sectors set before mine require energy. And what is needed to produce this energy? Our sector.
So, by the looks of it, we're going to be focusing on energy.
Clean energy, to be specific. It's hard for me to admit, but this would allow the production of electricity without producing emissions that would contribute to global warming, while also not having the risks of nuclear energy, and it's easier to maintain than nuclear power plants.
What type of clean energy though? You have to take into consideration that the best options you have in the Philippines are solar and geothermal.
Yes, that is right. The best type of clean energy we could use here in the Philippines would be solar and geothermal. Solar because we live in a tropical country. This means that we receive the most amount of sunlight and we can utilize this to produce power from it. Geothermal because Philippines is a part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. This means that we have a lot of active volcanoes that could heat up rocks, and these rocks could be a potential source of geothermal energy. The problem with both of these is that they're not really perfect. Geothermal energy, most of the time, has its location far away from the cities, the populace. This means that loss from transmission of electricity is high, not to mention that construction is also expensive and new wells must be built every after a few years. Drilling into heated rocks is also very hard, and you need to maintain an amount of temperature in order to produce steam. Solar energy, on the other hand, has a main problem with its cost of production and storage. Well, that's actually it. But based on this, it could be said that solar energy has less problems than geothermal. Not to mention that its source lasts for a very, very, very long time. So for us, solar energy really is our best bet.
We should take some time off in order to look at the matter.
Also, if I recall correctly, somebody from my sector once did research on this new material which he used to make solar panels more efficient, so maybe that will come in useful for us as well.
I'm not really sure if my sector can contribute to solar energy, but we'll try to do some general research anyway.
Okay, so for now, I want all of us to do some research on what each of our sectors can contribute to the development of solar energy. And yeah, we'll take some time off and we'll meet again later. Okay, meeting adjourned. Okay, good evening, guys. Thanks for coming back, and I hope we've all done our research. So maybe somebody would like to begin? Anyone? Well, okay. So there was this experiment conducted in our sector where instead of using the conventional materials such as silicon for creating solar cells, they used carbon nanotubes instead. And apparently, the resulting solar cells were found to be twice as efficient in converting solar energy and were actually much cheaper to produce. But we still need to do further research for this because even though the conversion rate is double that of conventional materials, the conversion rate is still very low because at max it's going at 3%, and that's not really remarkable.
Hailing right from our home college, a study entitled Design, Optimization, and Field Testing of a Plasma-Enhanced Optical Fiber Reactor for Hydrogen Production via Visible Light-Driven Photocatalytic Water Splitting by Cruz et al. Integrates the use of solar power. Essentially, sunlight will activate the photocatalyst that will split water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen. This hydrogen will be then used as a source of energy.
I have good news too. The Philippines has already begun making moves towards solar energy. The country's first large-scale and commercially financed and commissioned solar power plant, San Carlos Solar Energy Inc., started operations last May 2014. It says here that the solar plant can generate a total of 22 megawatts with a total of 88,000 solar panels, utilizing photovoltaic technology with 22 inverters. So through this, the Visayas grid will be able to benefit with an additional 22 megawatts, all while San Carlos Solar Energy Inc. displaces carbon emissions equivalent to that of those produced by 14,805 tons of oil for each year of operation.
Unfortunately, despite it projected to save a lot of money, when it comes to dealing with global warming, renewable energy is still very expensive. So the government isn't too keen on using too much solar energy. It supposedly would come off as a burden on consumers' monthly bills.
Yes, that's where we, the next chemical engineers, step in. It's very important for us to continue studying, to continue learning, in order to find out ways to make things more affordable, more readily available. We are the future of this industry, so we must do what we can to ensure that we are the best students now, the best professionals.
Thank you for watching and have a nice day.